Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Cynthia Prudisila Panggabean with NIM 6324080. My major is accounting. I want to tell you about how to break a bad habit. We all have habits we'd like to get rid of, and every night we give ourselves the same pep talk. I will go to bed earlier, I will recite that cookie, I will stop beating my nails, and then tomorrow comes, we cave and feel worse than bad. We feel defeated and guilty because we know better and still can recite. The cycle is understandable because the brain doesn't make change early. But breaking an unhealthy habit can be done. It takes intent, a little white-knuckling, and some effective behavior modification technique. But even before that, it helps to understand what's happening in our brains, with our motivation, and with our self-talk. Good or bad habits are routines, and routines like showering or driving to work are automatic and make our life easier. Bad habits are slightly different, but when we try to break a bad one, we create dissonance, and the brain doesn't like that. The limbic system in the brain activates the fight, flight, or freeze response, and our reaction to avoid this threat and go back to the old behavior, even though we know it's not good for us. But before you try to change a habit, it's fundamental to identify why you want to change. When the reason is more personal, you want to be around for your kids, you want to travel more, you have a strong motivation and a reminder to refer back to during struggle. After that, you want to figure out your internal and external triggers, and that takes some detective work. When the bad habit urge hits, ask when, where, and with whom it happens, and how you are feeling, be it sad, lonely, depressed, nervous. It's a mixing and matching process and different for every person. But if you notice a clue beforehand, you might be able to catch yourself. As you try to change, there will be bumps and setbacks, which are part of the process of lasting change. The problem is that we're our own worst critics, and some people view anything except total success as complete failure. To try to take a third-person perspective and think about how you'd reach to a friend who said that having one bag of cheese had ruined their whole diet. You'll be kind and reassuring, not critical, so give yourself the same treatment. A lot of the struggle with self-criticism is not seen to as fact, but merely to it takes practice, but it's the same idea as with meditation. You treat what comes into your head as clues, acknowledging them and letting them roll on through. It also helps to reduce stress and minimize that sense of failure, to know that the goal isn't to make the old habit disappear, because it won't. You are just trying to strengthen the new routine, so eventually it takes over and the old habit isn't even a tool, but it's a constant process, made easier with compassion because there's no way to prepare for every situation or be able to predict when and where a trigger might happen. Modal verbs definition. Modal verbs show possibility, intent, ability, or necessity. Common examples of modal verbs include can, should, and must. Because they're a type of auxiliary verb, helper verb, they are used alongside the infinitive form of the main verb of a sentence. Modal verbs are used to express certain hypothetical conditions such as advisability, capability, or request. Refer to the complete list below. They are used alongside a main verb to inflect its meaning. Next, consider the difference between these two examples. First, I swim every Tuesday. Second, I can swim every Tuesday. The first example is a simple factual statement. The speaker participates in a swimming activity every week on Tuesdays. The second example uses the modal verb can. Notice how the meaning changes slightly. The speaker does not necessarily swim every Tuesday. They are saying that they are capable of swimming every Tuesday or that the possibility exists for them to swim every Tuesday. It's hypothetical. Next, modal verbs are quite common in English. You've seen them in action hundreds of times, even if you didn't know what they were called. Here are the most frequently used ones: can, may, might, could, should, would, will, and must. When are English modal verbs used? Modal verbs are used to show the following condition, like likelihood, possibility, ability, permission, request, suggestion or advice, command, obligation or necessity, and habit. First, likelihood. Some things seem likely to be true but can be stated as definite fact. In this case, you can use the modal verbs should and must to show probability without certainty. Example, my baby brother should be asleep by now. Second, possibility. In a situation when something is possible but not certain, use the modal verb could, may, or might. The example, this plan could work if everyone cooperates. Next, third is ability. The modal verb can express whether the subject of a sentence is able to do something, like with the negative form cannot or can shows that the subject is unable to do something. Example, she can speak 3 languages, but none of them well. Next, permission. If you want to ask permission to do something, start your question with can, may, or could. Traditionally, may is considered a more formal and polite usage for permission. If you ask, can I go to the bathroom? It could be misinterpreted as do I have the ability to go to the bathroom? However, in modern informal use, may and can are both perfectly acceptable options for describing possibility or permission. Next, request. Similarly, if you want to ask someone else to do something, start your question with will, would, can, or could. Example, would you get that box of the top shelf? Next, suggestion or advice. What if you want to recommend a course of action but not command it? You can use the modal verb should if you're giving suggestion or advice without ordering someone around. Examples, you should try the lasagna. Comment. On the other hand, if you want to comment someone, use the modal verb must, have, or need. With the letter to, the main verb does not drop the word to from its infinite form. Example, you must wash your hands before cooking. Next, obligation or necessity. Modal verbs can express a necessary action, such as an obligation, duty, or requirement. Likewise, the negative form expresses that an action is not necessary. Use the same modal verbs as with commands must, have, and need. Examples, we have to wait for our boss to arrive before we open. Next is habit. To show an ongoing or habitual action, something the subject does regularly, you can use the modal verb would for the past tense and will for the present and future. The past used to is also acceptable when you're talking about a habit in the past. Example, when I live alone, I would fall asleep with music. And thank you.